This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups, and my guest today is Katie Momo. Katie, thank you for joining me from the Great White North.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here, and I'm also grateful. It's not white yet; it'll be coming, but so far we're
Coming
still
soon.
green.
Coming soon to a Quebec province near you. So
Exactly.
share with our Rising Tide audience a little bit about Katie Momo.
Sure. Well, I have one of those convoluted backstories that only makes sense when it's like hindsight 2020. So my parents, of all things, own a flight school. So my whole life, it's like I was involved in the school and the business and marketing and everything. And then later I went to school for design because I was like, I'm going to do something totally left of center. Graduated that, went into sales because at that point it was 2008. It was like the economic crash happened and you're like,
For sure.
what am I going to do? Like I was absolutely terrified. I was horrible in the beginning and I was like, I got to get this together because like I need a job and like I got to figure this out. So I started getting really good. That just sort of became something that I was able to parlay into so much of what I do now, which is great. Because even though it's not like a fun thing to learn, once you have that skill, you realize that it's everything about business. Like unless you're able to sell something, you have kind of an expensive and time-consuming hobby, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So after that, I ended up doing corporate social media. Smaller businesses saw what I was doing and they're like, can you help us as well? And I was like, sure. So I took on freelance work. And then they started producing courses and they're like, hey, can you help me sell this online course that I've created? And I was like, yeah, I guess I could do that. Like, I guess I can take the things I would say in person and put it in a web page. And that was sort of how I got into doing sales copy. So it's kind of cool, like when you sort of see everything come together, and I really specialize in working with people who are launching online courses and memberships. And I realized like, even not that long ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, I grew up selling education in my parents' flight school. So yeah, it's been such an amazing journey. And now because copy is really what powers so much of the launches, like 90% of it is copy. And I saw so much of the back end of everything. I started doing, people started reaching out for launch consulting. So that's now become like a big part of my business because I just gathered up so much experience from all of my launch copy clients that I realized that is like a really specialized niche in itself. So it's been just this amazing evolution and it's fun to be here. It's crazy to think that this world exists.
Well, so that's kind of the business side of things. Touch a little bit more on the personal side, family.
Yeah, sure. So I'm
Where
from
you are.
Vancouver. I know that
Okay.
we talked about this. So
Yeah.
I'm from Vancouver, Canada. And my husband is from Montreal. And you know what? We had an opportunity to go back for his job. And we thought, you know what? Let's just make the leap. I mean, I don't speak French. Most people speak French here, but I thought, you know what? Like you can always move back. If you do something and it's tough and it doesn't work out, like it's not a life sentence, right? And we came here and it's been great. So you never know, like take the leaps that seem scary and you're on the fence and you're really doubting yourself because sometimes it's the very best thing. And other times you're like, well, you just learned and you can move back or whatever it is. So.
Well, you moved from one beautiful city to another.
I was lucky. Yeah. It could have been much worse.
That's exactly right. You could have been on the backside of you've been moved to the Yukon Territory or something.
Oh, I do have a friend who did that as well. Actually, he really loves it, but yeah, it wouldn't be me.
Exactly. So it's so funny. Just the number of people that I have chatted with on Rising Tide that have the elements of your backstory are the specifics are different, but kind of the journey is very similar. And it's like, well, I did this, and then I did this, and I did this, and I as you mentioned, I kind of parlayed that into a consultancy gig, or I kind of parlayed that into a business that I ran. So if you and I are jumping on an elevator and we're going up 10 floors, give me your business sales pitch in the next minute.
Yeah, sure. So I work with people who specialize in launching online courses and memberships. So it's mainly people who have been in it for a while, they've had some success, but now they've reached that plateau and they're like, okay, I can see that success is up there, but I'm really hitting my own glass ceiling. I don't know how to get there. Like, can you help me? And because I have all that experience where I'm able to look down at all the different businesses that I've worked with, I'm usually able to identify exactly what they need to do in order to actually break that glass ceiling and get to the level that they've been, striving for so long. So it's just such an amazing journey to be on. And I get to work with the coolest people in the strangest niches that I never thought would exist. It's like, I'm able to like open up these little like portals to the world that I just didn't know were there
I love
before.
the way you describe that, opening portals within their business. So are you talking primarily SEO? You talking primarily copy, kind of a little bit of everything? I mean, what's kind of the secret sauce behind your business?
Sure. So most of what I do is either a lot of it comes down to copy. I say I coach through copy because if you're able to clarify the message, if you're able to really connect with people, find out what people want and need, it helps everything else fall into place. It's really like a domino effect. There's other strategies that I bring into helping launch um, any course or membership, but it really does start at the foundational piece of understanding your message, understanding your people on such a deep level. This is just so key. Most people think they know their avatar, time they don't really, and it's understanding the underlying message and having interviews with people. Talk to your dream customer, get in their heads. Like, I know everyone says this and it feels like stock advice, but you would just be blown away at the amount of people that I work with. It's so rare that I come across somebody who has actually done that work. And once you do that, it's revelatory. Like, you can slash your ad cost like a third, a quarter when you're actually talking to people about something that they care about. It has a just dramatic and direct impact on your
Right,
bottom line.
right. Well, I'm gonna try to leverage what you just said. And speaking of parlaying, I'm gonna try to parlay a buy one get one free Rising Tide micro course here, because I really want you to camp on what you just said about identifying your avatar. So, and I know you and I talked a little bit in the segment that we do at the end of the chat. Is it really is kind of the formal Rising Tide micro course segment. But if you can kind of give me a little precursor on something that's completely unrelated to what I think you're going to talk about later, but
Sure.
tell me about what's the best way, or just a real quick synopsis of identifying your avatar. How do you go about finding
Sure.
that ideal client,
Well, first of all,
or defining it?
start with the people who have already purchased from you, because first, hey, they're there for the picking. They have actually made the transformation from a subscriber or browser or whatever to a buyer. So they are a special unicorn, and they probably love you. This is the thing, is people always feel shy about talking to them, but you know what? If you reach out to them as like the course creator or the leader of that company, they're normally like floored, like, oh my gosh, like starstruck. Just reach out and be like, hey, you know what? Like, I really appreciate you being like, joining my program. I would love your thoughts on it. Do you mind if we could schedule half an hour? We can just jump on a video call just like this. I can just ask you a few questions. It can be as simple as starting there. Of course, you can talk to people who are future customers, so people you think would be a really good fit. But I always say start with the people who can give you the closest profile to who you should be looking for, because they are already a buyer. And really go through what like when I have my clients talk with people, I have like 50 questions that they go through. It's it's intense, but it really works. But just go through the journey. Where were they before they found you in your program? What were they struggling with? Then, why did they decide to join your program? And this is extremely key. And the closer you can ask that question to the point that they actually purchase, the better. Because otherwise, if it's a month down the track, 3 months down the track, their answer may change. But you want to get it as close to the buying time as possible. I will actually ask this often on the post-purchase page. Like once somebody's in, it's like I have a little pop-up that comes up for some of my bigger programs and ask, hey, like what was going on in your life right now that made this the right time to
What
buy?
a great idea! What a
Yeah,
great idea!
it's incredible what you'll come out with that. Like you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Oh, and then you go look for people with that exact same problem.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second. Is there a risk that that's too soon? That you're, what I guess what would concern me if I saw that process would be the last thing I want to do once they have agreed to purchase is kind of jog them out of their, euphoria of the of the purchase and think, wait a minute, what did I just spend $500 on? Or what, should I really do this? Or, I mean, have you had any that ever happen, or is it almost reinforcing in them, this was a good purchase because I'm helping you identify why you even did it?
I think that's exactly it. So I only, on the post-purchase page, I only ask that one question. So it's
Okay.
not overwhelming, but I want to capture that particular moment in time because it's so precious and so fleeting. But I think it, like you say, it reinforces them because they're like, oh yeah, like this is why I need this. This is why I'm here. This is why I took the leap. So it's actually sort of coaching themselves into staying with the purchase and not refunding.
Yeah.
And reminding them why it was such a good idea. And I do go through with people, like this is actually one thing I do a lot with clients and customers is setting up their social proof collection system, because so many people will work with people, get great results, and they just go off into the ether when really they're your best advocates. And
Right.
you
Right.
leverage that. So when you have different points, so you collect different pieces of information, you can create like the world's greatest testimonial that will do the selling for you.
And see, you'd use some Jedi mind control on me, because when I got halfway through that question, I was almost talking myself back out of it. So it was, yeah, I think I saw your hand go across the screen there just for a second. Yeah, that's right.
I'm a hand talker. I'm not Italian, but you would never know.
So talk a little bit about your business, about the current state of your business, what's been kind of the flow the last 12 to 18 months, and give us a highlight of, you had that time where you said, wow, this is why I'm doing this. This is the mountaintop experience here. So
Yeah, it's been a really fun shift over the past, I guess, year or so. So I knew that I wanted to do, like people keep asking me to do their sales pages, and there's only so much time I have to give for that. And, it's not inexpensive. So I was like, okay, I knew I wanted to do a course after especially helping so many people with their courses. I was totally the cobbler with no shoes for so long, where I'm like, I need to do this.
I'm
So
stealing that one, the cobbler with no shoes. There you go.
copywriters are really bad for like we're the worst for email lists. Like I've been really proud of myself. I diligently emailed every single week this year, but
Yeah.
like we are totally cobblers with no
Haven't
shoes.
updated your own blog in 18 months.
Yeah,
Exactly. There you
exactly.
go.
So I finally buckled down and I got my sales page program done, which was just like a huge mountaintop climb because it is so much that we're putting into these things. Like I always say, when you're writing copy, when you're writing a sales page, it's not just writing words. You're not just like writing an Instagram post. It's like, you need to live in that person's skin. You need to, I always think like I'm like zipping up somebody's body onto me, and I'm
Mm.
understanding their pain and their struggles, and like, how can I coach them through this in order to make them see that this is the product that they need? So trying to translate that process into a program was, it was a mountaintop climb. I finally did it. And when I launched it, I knew that I wanted to do something unusual. Like I didn't want it to be just a course, but I didn't know what it was. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to figure it out either. I'm not that smart. I got to ask the people who matter, my customers, what do you guys want? And I came out with all these ideas. I was like, do you want like a Facebook group? Do you want like a group coaching session? Or like, what is it? Like, I don't know. You tell me. And they came up with like the greatest solution ever. And it's been such a cool experience where they're like, no, like I want to learn it. I want to go through the motions. I want to go through your program, but I want you to go through and polish it to make sure that it actually has the professional edge at the end. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I was like, that's cool. I love that. And it's been really awesome because it's like, I've been able to, help people get, learn these skills that are so important. I always use the term copy very loosely because it's not just a sales page. It's literally everything you do. It's
Yep.
any sort of communication,
Yep.
whether you're on video, Facebook Live, podcast, whatever. It's like, it's the same thing. You can't communicate your message. It's just not going to work. So yeah, it's been so phenomenal to see this program evolve and see, see people transform and understand how to present their business in a way that actually gets traction in sales. And then it's like they send it to me, and then I'm able to polish and tweak it, and I'll record a video and explain, okay, this is why I did this. This is why I took this angle. I explained it like this because I thought this would be more clear, X, Y, Z. And then it's like a whole other layer of learning because it's so personalized to them. And just the other week, I added on a whole other level of service to this program for people at the top end, where it's now including a month of Voxer coaching, because sometimes people are like, I'm just stuck on this thing, or I need a pep talk, like, or tell me what font should I use? Like, should I go with Times? Helvetica? I don't know. It's like, these are things that I've worked with for so long. And I'm like, it's been such a cool thing to like include all of these layers in to make it this like really comprehensive program that like, I feel so connected with the people going through it. It's not like just buy this program, like see you later. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah. Just send your credit card in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I would never have created all these ideas myself. It's like 100% just listening to your people. Whoops.
I mean, what's amazing is that, you talk about the program being comprehensive, but yet it has a pretty common thread, through it. Everything kind of branches off of kind of the centerpiece, of this idea of, I'm going to teach them how to do it. They're going to do it. And then we're going to refine it at the end. They want me to come back in and just kind of polish it, at the end.
Exactly.
And I love the idea of doing the video and explaining kind of step by step what you're doing and why you did things, because I mean that's also kind of repetitive learning that says, next time I probably won't make that same mistake again. But one thing I did want to touch on that just for the listeners' benefit and those watching on YouTube is, it's amazing when you talk to people that are they're in the copy space. They not only write in metaphor, they speak in metaphor. So she said, it's just like I'm zipping up this another person's body or something like that. We mere mortals that don't deal in copy world, we don't speak in those terms. I mean, you guys are at a completely different kind of plane, than you're thinking at a different level than we are. So no wonder we want you to come in and polish it.
It's so fun because my friend Rye, he's one of my writing partners, and we do live events together. He's phenomenal. He's worked with like Amy Porterfield, just like a whole bunch of people at the top of their game. Todd Herman. There's like, everyone's slipping my mind, but he's just incredible. And someone asked him, what's your best advice for writing copy? And he told them, I only write when I feel like crap. And I'm like, it's true, because you do need to understand that person so intimately and understand their struggles. You kind of need to internalize it and feel it, right? You need to let it like sit on your chest and feel heavy until you're like, okay, now I understand their pain. Now I can bring them to a more beautiful place. Like I can show them I can solve their problem that they're going through. And I mean, it made perfect sense when he said it to me, but I'm like, I understand how the other person was like deer in headlights. Like, what are you talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, even how you describe that, you really personified the process. I mean, there is a reason that you're passionate about this. I mean, this kind of oozes through your veins. I mean, this is how you're wired. I mean, this is not, it's, in many ways, you would probably do this, and probably did do this for free at different times in your life. So, that's just kind of a passion, but now you found a way to make money.
Yeah. And it's very funny because, I mean, I never thought I would be a writer. Like, it was like literally the last thing on my mind. In my head, like a writer was like someone who like goes in the mountains and like hunches over their like,
sequesters themselves.
yeah,
Old typewriter.
Yeah, old typewriter completely. Like only relationship is like with a bottle, like sad.
40 cigarette butts in an ashtray.
Completely. I was like, no, I would never be a writer. And now I'm a writer. So, or like, that's what part of what I do.
Well, let's take a little deeper dive. I mean, you mentioned a couple of people that you've had either direct or indirect relationships with and working with online. But is there one person that you would really identify that you would say has really inspired you online, that's maybe further down the road than you are, and in kind of the similar genre or industry, and you say, I really am kind of watching their taillights a bit,
That's a great question. You know, I always try to look outside of this industry for
It's
different
probably wise. Yeah.
inspiration. Um, because I also feel like in copywriting, there's so much like gross salesiness. Like
Mm.
you know, like there's so much like funnel hacking, like just use this like fill in the blank, like upsell them 17 times. And that's just absolutely like not my style. Like I always say, I'm like the unsalesy salesperson. Like I'm not interested in being that, like that slimy version of it. And it's interesting, like even people who are like, other people will reach out to me and be like, are you gonna like be sleazy? And I'm like, no, 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 you're fine. Like we're safe here.
That's right. It's a safe zone.
So I would actually say my friend Rye has been a huge influence on me, just because he's very like, we just happen to be like do completely two separate things, but have like very similar theories and thoughts on it. And so being able to write together has been such a great experience. But I love looking at like screenplays. I love television. I love all that sort of stuff because that's so emotive. And that is what really gets people to buy. Like we back things up with logic. We need that. That's important. But you know, we always make the decision based on emotion
Mm.
first.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
I always try and follow like there's I don't know if you know Mindy Kaling. She's a comedian and a writer. So I love comedy as well because I think it's again it's very emotive. It's very powerful to connect with people over comedy and you know that's really how we make change. So I always try and sort of like look at different screenwriters and see what they're doing and like I'll be listening to like a movie or TV and I'm like that's a great line. I like write it down even though I'm not going to use it, but it just inspires me to do something else. So that's my weird inspiration.
I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from just our politics. That I mean, it's ridiculous to sublime. I think is the how I've seen it, and and even north of the border, you guys are experiencing your own level of interesting sound bites and.
Yes, we have. Yes, at least the election is over. Here.
That's right. I think I put on my Facebook page. I said I don't want any political posts. I just want puppies eating brownies. That's what I want. I would just post after post after post, and just keep them coming. But so
Thank you.
is there? Yeah, absolutely. Is there a quote or kind of a something that drives you every day that you got taped up on your laptop that you kind of stenciled on the wall, whatever, that you say this is something I really want to, it's kind of my baseline, my ground zero, that kind of keeps me centered type thing?
I would say it's more just like the passion of the people that I work with. That is what inspires me every day. And like coming from a small business background and knowing for us, it was literally everything. Everything
Sure.
depended on our business.
Yep.
If like, you know, we had some scary moments. We had a flight school. 9/11 happened. They
Yeah, I
shut
did.
down the airspace.
Yep. Yep.
So that I think is like when I talk to people, it's just like I get so inspired and so fired up, and it's like I see the potential for them so much. And everyone hits their own roadblocks, right? Like whether that's internal or something in the industry or whatever. And being able to be there and help them through that is just like so incredible for me because I know how important it is. It's not like just going to a job and clocking your hours. It's like I was just at a home show actually before we jumped on the call, and like everyone's there, the vendors are there, and like you can tell the people who they're the business owners, like they want to reach out to you, they're talking to you, they're so passionate about like their thing that they have. And then you can see the other people who are just sitting there like scrolling on their phones like when's this day done. um,
Exactly.
and you know
Yep.
it's just like I get so excited when I talk to them.
And I have a feeling, you mentioned your the flight school, or I have a feeling that your flight school actually taught people how to take off and land.
Yes.
Unlike the
Yes.
flight school in Florida, that we're only 50% of that equation. So, I mean, did that not raise a red flag to anybody? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I can't, oh my gosh, that's like a whole other ball of wax, but so true. Like, come on, notice the flags, right?
No doubt, no doubt about it. Well, this is we're kind of segueing into the really my favorite. I mean, I love to hear the backstory as well, but really my favorite is just where I'm quiet and I'm moved back into the background of the forest behind me and say, you know what, Professor, this is your time to shine, and just really touch on 2 or 3 key points in our Rising Tide Microcourse segment of just your area of expertise, or really whatever you want to expound on. So, Katie, you have the mic and I am out of your way.
Well, I would love to talk about this thing that's going on. So people really overestimate how important tech is in online business, and they really devalue how important the human connection is. And it's everything. I was talking with my friend the other day, and we were having this great conversation about how relationship-based selling is so important. And I had misspelled the word relationships of all things. Like, I'm pretty decent at spelling, but I misspelled it. And I put REAL and then relationship. And I was like, that was the best Freudian slip ever, because it should be real. Like, we need to make real connections with people. And that is what gives us the opportunity for you to help them. And the way that you help them is by offering your product or service or whatever it is. And, you know, people get really down on the fact that, like, oh, I have this funnel, it's not working, my page isn't working, my emails aren't working, blah, 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 blah. And really, they don't realize that I've worked with a lot of big businesses, multi-million-dollar launches. And on the top end, you only see the tech. But at the very bottom, the people who are actually buying, they probably have some sort of connection, whether that was live chat. They visited the sale page multiple times and they get an ad saying, here's our phone number, give us a call. And there's people on the end of those calls, whether that is the person who is the course creator or their wife or their wife's best friend that they've gotten the like FAQ Bible for. And it's like, if you have these questions, give these answers. So I think that we need to just ground ourselves into the reality of, like, hey, if you are relying on tech and it's not working, that's actually pretty normal. And we need to introduce this human element. One thing I love to do, I don't always get the chance to do it, but if I have the chance, I will personally email new subscribers and say, like, hey, I'm a real person. Like, I would love to hear what you're up to. Just like, let me know. Like, I might be able to point you in the direction of something that can help. Like, I've got a lot of videos. I've got a lot of blog posts. I just know a lot. Like, tell me your jam. I can help. And you would not believe, like, not everyone answers back, but the people who do are like floored. And they give like real, like juicy, honest, long answers that, like, again, it's like what I was talking about, talking to your ideal client and customer. Like, these are these people pouring their heart and soul out to me, all because I had the decency to treat them like a regular, amazing person that they are. And it doesn't take long, you know, like, it doesn't take long to make that connection, but it's everything. And think about it. Like, if you're paying for leads, and Facebook advertising right now, I don't know if you know, but it's like crazy right now. It's like super expensive. If you are paying $5, $10 a lead, why not treat them like absolute gold and give them everything that you've got straight out of the gate? Like, 2 minutes to send a quick little, hey, I'm here email can result in thousands of dollars. I like to think of this as when I was working in sales, I was actually working as a jewelry salesperson. People would come in for a $5 polishing cloth, and a lot of salespeople wouldn't give them the time of day. I would chat to them. I'd be like, let's shoot the breeze. You know what? How many of those sales turned into, it was a $5 sale, and within a couple months, it would turn into a $10,000 sale or a $20,000 sale or a $30,000 sale, all because I treated them like a person and we built a relationship, and, you know, they became my buddy. If you treat people like that, it's amazing what happens. So email your subscribers personally. Another thing I love to do is Insta stories and Facebook stories right now are great. You can see who is watching you. You can see who's watching their stories. Click through to their story and then comment on it. They're in your world. So they're in your sphere. They're not a cold lead anymore. They're slightly warm. So therefore, your chance of actually making a connection with them is much higher than if you're just blasting an ad out to cold ice cold people. So start that conversation. In the direct messages, people are making a lot of money. And yes, it takes a little bit of work. And sometimes I know a lot of people that will hire someone to start this process, just to break the ice, see who's going to connect. But, you know, it's like, start those conversations, and then the return is so big with time. Another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of sales may not happen right away. And we're in such this like instant response world. And we have to realize that we're sowing the seeds for the future. You know, even if they don't buy anything or they're not ready or whatever, leave them feeling great. Leave them with an asset. Give them a plan to be like, hey, you know what? You're not ready yet. That's cool. Like, you know what? If I were you, I would do X thing. So get them prepared to take the next step. And I have a lot of people coming back that I did that years ago for, and they're like, you know what? I finally put that stuff into place and I'm ready. Let's do this. And it's just such an incredibly powerful way to build your customer pipeline in a way that feels good and aligned, and you're going to get so much better results than doing the quick sale that you're trying to like force and it just doesn't feel good.
And I love that. I mean, just everything that you mentioned there really is building trust through relationship, and it is fostering a relationship, and it really is. I mean, it is the sales process. I mean, matter of fact, it's an effective sales process. It's not just the sales process; it's the effective sales process. It says, I'm just not trying to extract your credit card number, from you. I am trying to say, how do we add value, and how do we really have a transaction that is a win-win for both of us.
Oh, totally. I just got chills when you're saying that.
But it truly is. So when they're finished, with whatever that transaction is, there's a sense that I've gained some, she's gained some. It's a fair exchange, and not only that, is we've developed a relationship. I mean,
yeah.
People want to buy from people that they know, like, and trust type. The whole scenario, and you're developing that, through emails, new subscribers, through Insta stories, through I like the idea of even giving away something even to non-buyers. I mean, I wrote that down too, just the whole idea that says, you're not penalized necessarily because you've chosen not to buy right now. And it's not, maybe it's not a no, maybe it's just not a not yet.
Exactly.
So.
And often it is. And when you think about it, like the 80-20 rule, it's always there. It is always there.
Right.
Those 20% of people who will make up 80% of your revenue, they're out there right now, probably in your world. And you just need to, instead of just like gobbling up, trying to get new subscribers and like, I'm, of course, growing your list is important, but it's like treat the people who are in your ecosystem already, just they're so precious, and they can fuel your income for years and years and years if you do it right.
I mean, would you rather have 10,000 passive acquaintances, or would you rather have 1,000 raving fans?
Oh my gosh, right? Like 1,000 people every day of the week. You probably know the Kevin Kelly 1,000 True Fans.
Yeah.
It's great for anyone who hasn't read it yet.
I stole that. I didn't come up with that originally, but
but it's
the basic premise is true. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because so I was mentioning Facebook is crazy. A lot of pages got shut down recently, including mine. So I'm starting from scratch. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Like, I am so happy if I had 1,000 followers that were just like there. Like, instead of growing these like huge pages full of, like you were saying, like 10,000 people who are vapid, non-existent people.
Right.
Like, keep it small and keep it for the people who are just like, they're so in your corner and you are excited to work with them. And like, it's amazing what happens when you just like really focus on who matters.
So the Facebook pages were shut down because they were personal pages that they viewed as business pages, or what was the problem?
Oh, it was actually my business page got shut down. It was having, this is another story, but anyway, I'll try to wrap it up. It was having a whole bunch of buggy errors for like 2 months. And I kept reaching out being like, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. They're like, no, we can't find it. And then one day I posted a cat video, which is obviously very offensive and against terms and conditions. And they said that I was impersonating somebody else, and they shut down my page. So one thing I've been telling people the past couple of weeks ever since this happened is like, back up your stuff. A lot of us are content machines putting out amazing content on social. I lost a lot of fantastic content on my page. So like, back that up, whether that's setting it to your WordPress or you saving it in Google Doc or whatever. Like, you just never know what happens. There could be a glitch in the system like me, and gone.
Wow. That's sage advice. I mean, you've given us a lot of value in this short conversation we've had. But I mean, if you didn't hear anything else, back your Facebook content up. It's right there in the
Seriously.
settings on Facebook. You can back up your own information. So,
Yeah.
is there
Maybe
anything
so.
that I haven't touched on that you want to kind of circle back with right now? And as we're wrapping up tonight, and just anything that I haven't touched on, you think would be of value to our listeners?
Do you want me to add one more personalization tip?
This is your time. If I
Yeah.
cut you off prematurely, I beg forgiveness.
No, it was the perfect time to do it because I think we needed to expand on that. So I am a huge fan of being able to use data and apps and
Mm,
everything in order to really understand what people are doing on my page. If you don't have a heat map service on your page, you've got to get one. Go to luckyorange.com. It's like $10 a month. And it's the greatest $10 you will ever spend online. You will see exactly what people are doing on your website. You'll see how they're interacting with the pages, where they fall off, all this sort of stuff. So I use that in conjunction with my email service, which I use ActiveCampaign, but I think most of them will do this. So I'll see who's visiting certain pages, and say I have a sales page. Say that there's somebody named Sarah. I see Sarah's visited the page, but she left. I can email her and be like, hey, like, you know what? I saw you were on this page. Or if people are, if they're in an industry where that freaks people out. I mean, obviously I'm in digital marketing, so everyone knows the deal. You could be like, hey, like, I think this product would be really great for you. I just wanted to see, like, do you have any questions about it that I can help you with? Because maybe they didn't reach out. Or I have a lot of clients, maybe they'll even give like a little discount, not even very much, sometimes like 5%. It's like, hey, you know what? I think this would be great for you. Why don't you have a 5% discount? Or, you know what? Here's a 3-pay plan for if something that's, like a higher end product. And it's amazing how just that will tip your sales over. Like they just needed that little extra nudge. You can set it up either automatically, like you can have an autoresponder go, or you can do the personal touch. I mean, you know what, if you don't have a huge business yet, the personal touch really does go a long
mm,
way. Like I
yeah,
can't stress this enough.
yeah.
But yeah, look at your data, see who's visiting pages, see who left. Like they're interested on some level.
What a great way to wrap that. See, we have multiple bonuses on our Rising Tide micro course tonight. So we had the kind of the pre-show, we had the warm-up band, and then we had the band, and now we've had the encore come on at the very end. So, Katie, thank you so much for just providing so much to our listeners tonight. And where's the best place to find you online?
Sure. Well, I have a ton of really great free stuff. That's like, I call it my free membership. You can go to katiemomo.com/suite. It's suite sales stuff. So there's like, I have a mini course in there. I have templates you can use. I have a quiz. If you're like, I don't know what kind of launch is best for me, like for my audience, for my product, I have a quiz that helps you identify what's the best thing. And it gives you a bunch of tips that it's customized to that. So I've got a lot of great stuff that's in there and ready for you to dive in, and you can literally just plug and play some of that stuff. So it's great.
So Suite, SUITE or SWEET?
SWEET.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Like candy.
Sweet like candy. There you go. Okay. On a more personal note, I need to know, did you find some good gluten-free recipes for this mountain of apples that you had on Facebook the other day?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So someone posted the Cookie and Kate gluten-free apple crisp, and it's incredible. It is so good. I've actually made it for people, like for people who aren't even gluten-free, and it's like amazing. So yeah, if you're looking for a great gluten-free recipe, look up Cookie and Kate's gluten-free apple crisp. It's like, mwah.
See, extra bonus. My youngest child is celiac, so that's
Oh
something
my.
that we have to. We're certainly going to have to dive in and see if we can kind of make that happen. We're also in Virginia, which we have some incredible orchards very close around, and this is just about the time. So it's perfect
Totally.
timing.
Yeah, well, there you go. I've had a couple good recipes from that website so far. So if you're gluten free, go hit them up.
Well, Katie, thanks again for just taking your time tonight. It's been a true pleasure just talking to you and just letting you kind of expound on your areas of expertise and providing multiple rising tide micro courses and building our library and but truly just playing your part and just helping all boats rise in a rising tide. Katie,
Oh,
thanks
this is
again for coming
great.
on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated it. And I can't wait to see all of everybody else's boat size.
Thanks again. Take care.